What are you taping me for?
I'm taping the taping of the taping.
Is this for the Billy and Carla early show?
All right. Here we go.
All right.
And
I'm going to sit.
that's okay. Whatever you do, whatever's comfortable for you makes it easy for me to adjust. Okay. And so, just for everybody in TV land, your name and how we spell it.
Sure. Billy Greenwood, Billy Greenwood.
And what do you do?
The morning show on the Big 98.
And so, we're going to talk today about Darius Rucker, who is, well, somebody that's been an interesting figure, kind of a unique character and property in country music and things like that. Obviously, you've had him on your show how many times?
Oh, jeez. I don't know, 5 or 6 times.
5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, a real interesting stir in the entire country music industry.
Yeah.
One of the true crossovers from other genres. But is it really, in your mind, a true crossover for him? Is he a crossover character, or is he somebody whose music really translates well?
Well, you know, I think that's it. I think that his music is probably the reason that he's done so well. I think that, you know, there have been other artists who have tried to cross over, and it just hasn't worked. But if you look at Darius, he's everything that a country artist should be. I mean, he's all about his family. He's real. He's accessible. And I think most importantly, he's got great songs.
And let's talk about that. I mean, how many hits has he had now? He's had
a ton. I think, matter of fact, I think every song he's put out has gone #1.
And where does it resonate? It hits, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and I think a lot of that has to do with people like us. You know, I didn't grow up loving country music. I grew up with the Hootie sort of era, and that kind of music is gone, and we can't find it anywhere else, with the exception of country. And so I think it was sort of a natural progression for Darius to make that transition from Hootie into the country world. I think our biggest concern was that he wasn't going to stay in the country world because we fell in love with him right away.
And so when you look at what you've got with him right now and the kind of music that's going on, if you look at Hootie and the Blowfish and you look at everything that happened before that point, that really actually is folk rock, which fits well into country. How does that work?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too. You know, when you talk about Hootie, when you talk about Darius, you know, he's a guy who loves country music, and I think that you could hear that even going back into his Hootie stuff. I would be willing to say that he probably knows more about the history of country than a lot of us do.
And so, okay, we're going to go into the producer questions now. He said, you know, do you think? What do you think? Do you think it was a difficult move? I know there was a lot of hemming and hawing in the industry about, you know, well, all these people were crossing over the time he did.
Sure.
And they were like, it's diluting the nature of country music and things like that. But he
Yeah.
didn't have that problem.
Well, I would say this. You know, when I initially heard that Darius was going to go country, I probably, like a lot of people, didn't really take it seriously initially, just because there had been so many who had tried to cross over at that same time. It was really when I heard his music for the first time at Capitol Records, sitting in an office, where I became a believer and I became a fan as soon as I heard the first 2 songs.
And they courted you. They courted you and radio and everybody around the way to say, no, this is going to happen, right?
Yeah, well, I think country radio, we're interesting because we have so much access to our artists, and some of those other artists in other genres that we don't get to see all the time, I think we get excited about. And I think that the opportunity for us to be able to be near and hang out with Hootie initially was exciting for us, and I think it wasn't until we got around him when we realized he was the real deal and it wasn't just novelty.
And so, they were going to say, so what was your first, besides your first impression when listening to that, what was your first impression when you thought audiences, did you think audiences were going to go?
I was nervous about it, to be honest with you, because, you know, I mean, let's be honest, we hadn't had an African-American in country music for a long, long time. And I think that Hootie really shows that it's not about race. It really transcends that. And you know, again, it goes back to...
Do it again, you said Hootie.
I did say Hootie, didn't
I? Mm-hmm. Do it again.
I think, you know, initially I was concerned because it had been a long time since we had had an African-American in country music. And I think it was until I heard the music that I realized that he was legitimate, and I think that he's proven that in country, where I think there is sort of where I think there is this generalization that that we are maybe leaning towards. I don't know how to say this. I don't want to say this.
No. I get where you're going.
Do you feel like we're leaning towards white cornbread America in what we do? But that doesn't really.
Well, I think that
that's the yeah. Let's go with that.
I think the stereotype the stereotype of country has been that we sort of lean towards, you know, white bread America, and I think that when Darius initially came along, I was concerned, because maybe I started to believe that too. It had been a long time since we had an African American in country music, and I think that when we started to play that song and we started to get feedback from our listeners, I think we knew almost instantly that it was the real deal.
And it really shattered things quickly.
I mean, instantly. Literally, his first song was #1. Every song he's put out since has been #1. Every time he comes to the station, this is the most amazing part, he's still like a little kid. I mean, his laugh to me is my favorite attribute that he has. He still has fun, even though he has all of those years with Hootie, and now all this success on his own, he's still having a blast, and I think it shows through his music.
Now, his musical writing style fits country extremely well because there's a storyline.
Well,
a lot of other musics are about inflection of voice and things like that, and that's included in country, but
Yeah.
storylines are big deals in country music.
Well, and I think that goes back to why he's successful as a crossover artist, and some haven't been. And I think it all starts with his family. And the fact that he doesn't live here in Nashville. He lives in Columbus.
Charleston, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's where it all starts. With Hootie, unlike other artists who tried to cross over, for him it's all about family, and I think that's what it's all about in country music. And the fact that when you see Hootie, damn it, I love Hootie now. One more time.
Okay, go for it.
Well, and I think that's what it's all about. I think that for Darius, it really starts with his family, and I think that's why he connects so well with the country audience. You hear that in the songs and the lyrics that he writes, and that's why it's so relatable to all of us, and I think that's why we fell in love with him.
Now, when you look at, let's look at the CMA Music Festival just happened. He was a headliner.
Yeah.
In how many years? I mean, think about all these other artists that came from. How many years do you have to kick around Nashville to get a headlining spot at the CMA Festival?
Well, I think, obviously he had the advantage of being recognizable from the get-go. And when Darius performs, he doesn't just do Darius songs. He'll also do some Hootie songs. He actually even throws Prince on and does a little Purple Rain, which is just incredible. And so, he's a great lyricist. He's a great family guy. But most importantly, he's a great entertainer, too. And I think that's why you've seen him sort of catapult into the headliner position so fast.
I think that's